Thank you very much for joining us today. Great to have you along. And here we are for another online event from Markham, Successful Resilient Flooring over Concrete. I'm just going to quickly share this slide deck. Forgive me, we haven't quite yet found something to substitute with slide decks, but we'll get by. So, introduction on board with us today, we've got Christine and Hayden, both from our New Zealand office, but Hayden happens to be in Australia as we speak, and they're joining us each from their locations. Introduce themselves as they join the conversation. The aims of the discussion are the background of the challenging changes in the flooring industry. We've particularly got a New Zealand focus today, for reasons as we'll go over as we proceed through the event. Some of this does or will apply to the industry in Australia, and we will be having a following on series of more on this topic as we proceed through the year. What's the background of the challenging changes in the flooring industry? Aligning expectations early, reducing risk and rework, protecting program cost and warranty, and delivering floors that perform for life. And yeah, we're here to talk about the confusion, particularly if you're tired of it. Now, everybody, there's a question and chat button, and questions and a chat button in the bottom toolbar. Be free, please, to drop your comments in the chat. It's usually the easiest place to have a conversation. I'd like you all to get involved. Thank you, Samson. Hi. Yes, we're glad to have you on board. Hope everybody can hear okay. And Christine, could you introduce yourself and take us away?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Brendan, and kia ora, everyone. As Brendan said, I'm Christine and based in the Hawke's Bay head office at Markham. I've been here for around about 8 years now, and really just wanted to kick off this discussion because from our perspective for the last 24 months, there has been a lot of confusion, or we've experienced a lot of confusion and a lot of cross noise happening in the flooring industry. And this is specific, as Brendan mentioned, to New Zealand, and we'll get into some reasons why in this presentation. And it's specific as well to resilient floor coverings. So we're not going to be talking about carpet tile and ceramic tiles and things like that, but more vinyl, direct stick flooring. That's where this focus has massively come into play. And if you want to skip to the next slide, Brendan, we want to get because the impact of this and the experience of this does differ from the North Island to the South Island. It will track down as it goes from main centres out to regions and things like that as well. But what we're saying is that resonating with you. Have you experienced a lot of noise, too many cooks in the kitchen, sort of feeling late variations on vinyl installs, cost rises at that point, compatibility issues, people raising things that have never been raised before, conflicting advice, or is this all new to you? If you want to check it in the chat, as Brendan mentioned, we're going to be doing a series on this, and we want to make sure we're answering questions that are out there if there's ones that we haven't come across. But yeah, let us know in the chat if there are questions that you have been facing or you want some clarification on anything. We'll make sure that we're tailoring future presentations to address those. So far, nothing in the chat yet. So we will keep going. I think next one, Hayden, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us from our perspective what we've experienced?
Well, good afternoon, where we are. Hayden Christine, been with Markham for, 10 years, 11 years, somewhere around there. But yeah, why from our perspective? We obviously, our tagline is adding life to concrete. So we're very interested in the concrete side of this discussion. And that's what it's all about, resilient flooring over concrete. Obviously, concrete presents different challenges. And I suppose that's where our perspective is, and why we got involved. We get pulled into a lot of these flooring discussions. Okay, it's technically a portion of our work. It's not all of our work. We are touching about 200,000 square metres of concrete a month. So I suppose we have a reasonable understanding of concrete. But we saw the opportunity to probably provoke some thoughts and lead a conversation to help try and pull this together. And obviously being a big part of the concrete team, we were able to do that. So if we jump the next slide, there's so many aspects of where this could be coming from, all these different challenges, all these different things. So many different voices in the market. Everyone has a good voice. Everyone has a good point. Everyone's protective of their patch, so to speak. But there was nothing forming to help pull that together. So we decided to take the bull by the horns and dive into what's going on, what's driving these, the noise for a start, what's happening, is there changes in the industry, is there changes with products, is there different tolerances, is there different methodologies, all that type of thing. So firstly, we started 100% with our methodologies, our products, and said, you know, are we still consistent? Are we adding things that we didn't have before? Are we increasing pH? Are we not controlling moisture migration like we used to do, those sort of things for flooring? And then from there, we took that a lot further, a lot of meetings with different installers, concreters, concrete prep teams, adhesive suppliers, preparation suppliers, flooring, vinyl suppliers, those sort of things, and obviously installers, and then went through that whole big workshops and things on this. So really that's from our perspective. We're not here as banging the big Markham drum at all. We're very much wanting to be part of this journey and do what's right for the industry and make sure every project is getting what it deserves and every result is good, so there's no comebacks and no rework that everyone's getting sick of, obviously. So let's dive into that, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Hayden was saying, like the pain points for so many different parties and some of these products were late stage. Something new was being introduced that had never been a problem before, that no one was familiar with. Suddenly rising costs, you've got architects confused, you've got architects being billed for things, and yeah, it was a lot of noise, or has been. And one of the reasons for the confusion is that we do have two different flooring standards between Australia and New Zealand. So Australia follows the 2021, the latest version of AS 1884, the flooring standard, and New Zealand still follows the 2013. And that shouldn't be a problem, except that we do have a lot of trade between the two countries. A lot of, like Markham itself is a New Zealand and Australian company. And when you've got an Australian supplier dictating the process and they're following a different standard or a more updated standard to New Zealand, then you start getting different wording, different expectation. And then the New Zealand installer that's not familiar with that then starts going, well, why the heck is this? And pointing the finger at different things if that isn't addressed. So we are following two different standards. There will be an updated version coming in New Zealand in the next year or so. So that will be AS 1884 2026, but I believe it's coming out in 2027. Is that correct? I think something like that. So keep your eye out for that. Then hopefully that will start calming down and bringing more consistency between the two countries. And so if you want to flick to the next slide. So changes to adhesives in concrete. There's been a lot of evolution in the concrete industry as well, especially as we move towards lower carbon, innovative mixes in terms of replacing some of that cement to help reduce the carbon. And we've also experienced over the last 5 to 10 years change from solvent-based adhesives to water-based adhesives. And why that in particular is important is if you imagine, so if you're familiar with using soap or hand sanitizer, that's kind of a similar way of thinking about adhesives using either water-based or solvent-based. You know that when you use a hand sanitizer, that moisture in that dissipates really quickly. Soap, if you rub soap on your hands, that's gonna take a lot longer to dry out on your hand. And so similarly, when we're talking about adhesives, solvent-based adhesives the moisture in them could dissipate quickly, and with water-based adhesives that's going to take a wee bit longer to dissipate naturally, and also it needs a few millimeters in that top surface of the concrete to dissipate in amongst. In terms of low carbon concretes, that can also increase the concrete pH, where this is still a learning space in terms of how those things impact on that concrete surface. But all of these are new and evolving, and so we need to keep our minds on that and keep testing properly and take each concrete slab on a case-by-case basis, which is a big shift. And you want to talk about other challenges in terms of concrete, Hayden?
Yeah, cheers. And keen to get a bunch of questions and thoughts going from everybody on this call as well. Just pop them in the chat. We'll get to them at the end. We'll try and just do a summary with everyone, but really keen to get input and actual, challenges or specific things you're worried about in this game. But yeah, a few things with concrete, like concrete's changed, which I'll jump on the next slide. But this particular thing we're seeing on this slide here quite a bit, where there's a disconnect, so to speak, between what finish is required and the end use of the structure. So concreters are doing a fantastic job, getting it nice and flat, and then burnishing it up using their trowels, getting a brilliant surface. But that would be ideal in a warehouse scenario or a logistics type or manufacturing plant, whatever you might want to be. But when you're going to have floor coverings over top, this causes issues. It obviously doesn't provide key for adhesives and preparation products, but also, it's how it reacts, how it traps its moisture, how it doesn't allow moisture in, from the glues, etc. So all these different things, and there's really no set methodology or requirement called up right from the initial stages, or people getting their heads together and saying, hey, we need to think about this. We're going to achieve this finish because it's going to result in a save money and save time down the track. So this is what it's all about. It's all about making things go faster, making sure we're all aligned early, making sure we're saving money, and making sure the project is going to deliver what's needed. So if we jump to the next, so that one's really about finishing. And then we think about, like I touched on the, sorry, it was the earlier slide, the concrete itself, they react differently with these lower carbon concretes, which we're all pursuing, which is great. But they bleed differently. Their chemical reaction is different. You got to treat it different. You finish it slightly different. The timing's slightly different to what people know of GP concrete, those sort of things. Again, there's definitely teams doing it really well, but often, sadly, even the guys on the pumps and the tools still don't know exactly what's coming through the mix and till it lands on the floor. So then they've got to deal with it, and they stick with what they've been trained to do. So all this has probably pushed into a bit of a a disconnect, so to speak, through all the trades, and that's really what we're trying to help on this, is pull this together. If we jump the slide, so everyone's fantastic at what they do, the architects, right through to the completion of the building, concrete teams, obviously the preparation teams, the grinding, the floor installers, the adhesives, the vinyl products themselves, all very, very good. But we've all probably focused too much in our own areas and become experts in our own areas, developed our own processes, but not aligned it with what's next or what was before us. So probably what we've noticed, and trying to get that really, really clear, really, really simple. So right from the start of a job, everybody's planning the same thing, pricing the same thing, aware of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. They're following the same sort of methodology. Everyone gets a consistent result, and obviously, ultimately, there's no one party caught in the crossfire. And sadly, to date, that has been flooring contractors, really flooring installers. They've been the ones to try and balance out through the middle, and they get lumped with a lot. So we've got to all work together to pull this together. So that really going to jump the slide. Where does that leave us right now? Obviously, everyone's got a method that's working, and we could stick with that. But as we speed up, as we want to get better, it's not always going to work. Plus, warranties are becoming more of an issue when you've got product suppliers requiring something, you've got concrete requiring something, you've got the flooring products themselves requiring something. Everyone is slightly different in that what they need, and we need to get that all pulled together so it's successful. So all yours, Christine, of what we're up to now.
Cool. Yeah, I think like as Hayden's been saying, that the communication is really key, and that's what our aim is with this, is to broadcast this to all of the different levels and that are involved in this, right from architects through to project managers, site managers on site, so that if everyone knows what they're looking for in order to see success, that those conversations and that the outcome will be smoother. And so if you want to flick to the next slide, Brendan, this is, it says Markham on the bottom, but it's by no means a Markham alone document. It's probably one of the most encouraging things I've been a part of in the industry, was having different parties, like all of those ones mentioned, so flooring installers and adhesive manufacturers, etc., all architects collaborating on something so that we're all on the same page, so that we're not putting somebody in the middle of a compatibility sandwich, basically. And so this guide, we're not going to unpack it today. That's going to come up in a future episode. But we will be sending you a link to this one. This guide does take you through, if you're a specifier, if you're a concrete contractor, if you're an installer, what those different things that are important to know now are. And we're not replacing a flooring standard, we're just putting together the information for everybody in a really simple collaborative way, so that everyone's talking about the same thing, and we're not talking about concrete places over here and flooring installers over here, so that everyone's understanding what they need to know. There are some pictures in there about what a good flooring grind looks like, for example. But we're not going to get into exactly how you should test for pH. That's all part of the flooring standard, which is separate to this. This is a guide for everyone on a base level. And so, yeah, we will be running a follow-up webinar unpacking the different layers to this, and the different things in more depth. But yeah, as I said, it's been a really encouraging thing to be a part of, having people work together. And so yeah, if anyone has any questions on or wants to tell us their experience, I know Samson's got one in the chat, which is more about our specific product, but in terms of this generic issue, your experience, your questions around, what question marks you have, what have you experienced, what have you heard? We're keen to get the conversation going.
Yeah, and make sure we've been talking about the right points. Is that the pain points, so to speak, of the industry? And I do want to reiterate exactly what Christine said about it's definitely not a Markham process that needs to be followed as such. It's not a requirement by us by any means. It's just that we've pulled that together. It was fantastic workshopping with like-minded people and all across the industry. It's brilliant. And then like we touched on at the start of this, the noticing the difference between the regions to some of the cities, their methodologies, those sort of things. Some people not even aware of different products or methodologies or requirements, or some people just total disregard for those. Why do we need a pH test? We've never ever pH tests, those sort of things. I know it's changes pain in the ass, so to speak, but it is coming and needed. Concrete's changing, those sort of things, different levels of acidity. So yeah, keen to make sure we're doing this right, and obviously we'll unpack a lot of different questions in following webinars. We'll send out a link to this guide and asking for feedback as well on straight after this. So please drop any thought bubbles in or specific questions in as well.
Would you like to have a look at Samson's question? It's about durability and moisture levels. Perhaps.
Yeah, moisture levels is definitely part of this whole journey. So yeah, it's a good question. We've always been very focused on internal moisture migration, stopping moisture transfer through the slab. Where things have got different is different standards are now looking at moisture vapor barriers, pH barriers, all these type of things, and everyone has a different role within the journey. So as far as just quickly to answer that question, long-term resilience, it's once you've got a internal pore blocking system in the concrete, that can't be reversed. So even if that fluctuates with levels of even moisture levels coming up from underneath, that should be consistent, and that's what we're seeing. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'd be glad if anybody else has got any questions or comments to drop in the chat. We're keen to learn about the industry, about the challenges that you're going through, if anything we've overlooked.
Or if anyone wants to be included as a speaker on the next one as we unpack this guide, put your hand up. Be really keen to share some experiences or hear some thoughts firsthand as well.
Definitely be keen if anybody's keen to join us. We're grateful for industry experience. Samson's got, so what checks do you recommend before installing resilient flooring over older concrete slabs with unknown curing history, which is definitely a factor. What would you say about existing floors, Christine?
So in terms of that sort of things, obviously you're going to be looking at the soundness of the concrete. If you've got some serious cracking through that, you're going to need to address that. In terms of what checks you'd recommend, if you're wondering if it's been Acuron treated with Acuron 2000 in the past, thankfully, due to our 30 years of installing an invisible product once it's in the concrete, we've got a really robust QA system. So if you're ever curious as to whether an existing slab has been Acuron treated, you can get in touch with our team, and we can look that up for you and provide really robust QA. So in terms of that, Acuron 2000 product will manage that moisture in the concrete for the life of the concrete. But of course, you're going to have to check for things like cracking. And then as part of what we're talking about today, there may be other steps. So that'll be all detailed in the flooring standard and also in this document that we'll send you a link to. But yeah, check with us if you're not sure if it's Acuron treated. It's going to need to be absorbent. It's going to need to be pH tested, moisture managed, all of those sorts of things.
And in that same vein, Mark has a question on...
Are you taking that one, Hayden, or...?
Jointing compounds and toppings over at Markham Acuron 2000?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's something we've been involved with for a long, long time, so no issue at all from a compatibility point of view. Obviously done a lot of flooring through the years. It is ultimately up to the flooring team as well, of what products get selected. Obviously, starting from the vinyl down, everyone has a sandwich, so to speak. We like to refer to it as that. Hopefully that resonates with all the different fillings, all the different layers. And that build-up is ultimately responsible with the flooring package. So we don't like to get too involved with what coatings can go over top of us, etc. But as far as compatibility, no issues through the whole industry of treating it over a Acuron treated slab. Hopefully that makes sense.
If anybody's got any project-specific questions, Hayden and Christine's details will be on the follow-up email. And welcome you getting in touch with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Real-life questions are good.
Yeah, and as I said, I promise we're not going to leave you hanging with here's all of the issues. We will be sending you a link to the document. No doubt that'll raise some questions for some of you because it might be a new education, but we're happy to answer your questions or point you in the right direction if it's more of a specialist flooring installer query. As I said, we've got some good collaboration in the industry now, and so we've got good contacts to refer you to.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Hayden. Thanks, Christine. Look, we've got other comments in here. Yes, thank you very much, Samson, and everybody who's joined us today. Appreciate your time and hope we've been able to help you in your thinking relevant to the industry. And we're going to follow up email out to you very shortly.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the next series because it's going to be good.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you.
Yeah.
Markham, adding life to concrete.